So they're in the newsroom right now talking about having parents pick out switches.
Yeah.
What a wild concept to think about. There was a time where it was okay to beat kids.
And you had to go pick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psychological trauma. And then the parents have the gall, the audacity to be like, I never did anything wrong to you.
Here's a question. Were you a kid?
Well, yes, I was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was your guardians, when you...
Guardians?
Hey, go pick out a switch. And did you come back with like a little one? And then it was like, oh, trouble.
I would not come back. I would leave for hours.
Just leave, yeah.
I was an inside kid.
Yeah.
But... Anyways,
wow, what a topic.
Trauma. Oof.
Sure.
Today,
let's dig in.
Let's dig in. Let's unpack why parents made us. No. Anyways, we're talking about movies that sort of changed who you were as a person, changed your brain chemistry a little bit. Now, we're only picking one movie each.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because if we just started listing off movies, at this point, that's our whole channel. We've got a million movies.
When you post, I'm like, it sounds a little like what we've done, but with like a more interesting twist, the brain chemistry
A psychological twist.
Yeah,
that's why I brought up the switches.
And I just think about like, we've talked about like a lot of, Lord of the Rings, and we've talked about like Requiem for a Dream, like watching it and being like, wow, this is a movie that like changed my life, but maybe not changed our brain chemistry.
No.
I'll tell you my struggle. One, I know what yours is, and it's like insightful, and I know what I've ended up picking, and mine is not really ground, or I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to be I watched Lord of the Rings and it like really like changed, or I watched Inglourious Bastards and it like changed, or I watched, Mad Max Fury Road. These are movies that all changed my brain chemistry, but I wanted one that like kind of did it in such a significant way that was kind of out of nowhere. You know?
Yeah.
So what's yours?
I love that you did this whole thing and you're just like, I'm still gonna delay.
I think my ending on mine has a little pizzazz. Has a little.
Oh, you think it has pizzazz?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
I'm ready. I just need you to.
I'll go.
Buckle up because.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't wear seatbelts.
Whoa. Okay.
So mine is gonna be Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
I think what was this? 97, 98.
Yeah.
One of those years.
97.
I had been watching Scorsese movies. I'd been watching Spielberg as a kid. So I was already in Full Metal Jacket around the same time.
Yeah.
So my brain's already messed up. But then to get Boogie Nights, Paul Thomas Anderson, Mark Wahlberg, Philip Seymour Hoffman, William H. Macy, John C. Reilly.
Julianne Moore.
Yeah, Julianne Moore. Not only is Boogie Nights perfect for the time it came out, but around the same time as when internet pornography was sort of, I wouldn't say mainstream, but Howard Stern, like every other week, had a porn star on there and had him doing very degrading things.
Yeah.
So all of this, and it's like the male toxic era was the late 90s, basically. This is seedy characters doing seedy things. Yeah. Thomas Jane, Alfred Molina. I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about the people.
Well, I was like, I was going to list a couple more, but you had moved on. So.
Yeah. So it's about the seedy porn industry of the 70s, which was also mainstream.
Yeah.
It got into the mainstream and that came back in the late 90s. So it's about that, but it's more about the folly of man and how when you chase a dream that wasn't even your dream to begin with, you can end up in some very unfortunate situations.
Yeah.
And that's what Dirk Diggler's character goes through, sort of semi-based off of a real person, most of it made up. But it's just like, it blew me away from start to finish that someone that wasn't Scorsese or Spielberg can make an all-time banger.
Yeah.
And it was the first time for me, I was like, oh, there's more auteurs out there other than Coppola. De Palma, everyone else, there's more people.
Yeah.
And and nowadays you think about Greta Gerwig and people like that, it's like there's always going to be new auteurs.
Yeah.
And Paul Thomas Anderson was my auteur.
Yeah.
Because after this, I'm all in. I watch Magnolia on VHS. I go to Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
Inherent Vice, and now the new one that's coming out, I'm going to love it because he's my dude. And when I think about Boogie Nights, I think about the scene. Well, there's a couple scenes that people think about with Boogie Nights. When he goes to the pool party and you get introduced to basically everybody that the movie's Don Cheadle. I've also forget
That's
about Buck, and I was called Buck in high school. So, anyways, I keep remembering characters, but also the thing that really changed my brain chemistry is that the way it's shot, the way it's edited, the music choices, like from start to finish, everything about the movie is like, there's movies that are seared into your brain that you will remember forever.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights is one of those movies. Ghostbusters is also one of those movies.
Yeah, but I think, you know, like when your brain chemistry changes a lot, you know? So it's like, I think it's a good, you probably saw Ghostbusters when you were younger.
Exactly,
changed it then. And
I probably saw Ghostbusters before I even had memories.
Yeah.
And I still remembered it.
Yeah.
So that's how influential that was. Boogie Nights came up later in my life in that the friends I was hanging out with were not the friends I wanted to be friends with. And I had Dirk Diggler's cautionary story in my head, like, look, if I keep going down this path with these people, I'm not going to be who I want to be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I am who I wanted to be when I was a kid, but at least I'm not Dirk Diggler, and I've got caught up in stuff and didn't where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it's all, you know, it's just a fantastic movie. Start to finish. I went, wow, I talked quite a bit.
Hey, that's all right.
I don't make
you
long...
don't. And that's, I mean, like, all good points. You know? Like, you had to set it up to then explain why it changed. And I can't wait to just really derail this stuff.
You're going to pick Herbie Fully Loaded, right?
I'm going to pick Herbie Fully Loaded, starring Michael Keaton and Lindsay Lohan. No, so thinking about this, I think about, again, I didn't want to pick a Back to the Future, which, again, changed my life. I didn't want to pick a Jurassic Park, which also changed my life. I didn't want to pick those movies that, like, I was 6, 7 years old watching. I wanted to pick one that I'm like, okay, this kind of started to solidify who I was as a person, or my taste, or just kind of changed a worldview. I'm talking about 2007's Hot Rod. Yeah, you weren't even ready for that word.
Hey, there's some similarities.
I think, and here's the thing. There are movies out there. Like, I watched Airplane when I was like 12.
Yeah.
I'd seen Blues Brothers. I love those movies. I think Hot Rod, seeing it, I was 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect Hot Rod age.
Perfect age, yeah.
Perfect age. Seeing it in the theater, no one else was in there. This is before, like, Lonely Island really blew up, too.
Yeah.
You know, like, and seeing a movie that is, like, to me, like, yeah, that's my Airplane, but also, like, that's a movie, like, you can tell a story, a complete story, but also have just out of nowhere stuff.
Just insane bits.
And I think really Hot Rod is where, like, I learned about bits.
Hey, everybody. We have a new crew member today, Denise. So I thought it'd be fun if we all went around and said a little something about ourselves. I like to party.
I like to party.
No, Dave, I just said that I party.
I like to party.
No.
I like to party.
Okay, nobody parties but me.
Yeah, just Rod.
Yes.
And me. Sweet.
Oh, my God. Shut up.
Again, I had seen Anchorman. But there was something about, like, 15 years old and seeing a young group of friends do it that I could maybe more not see myself in.
Yeah.
But that idea of, like, here are just a group of guys that are just hanging out, making a movie, knowing full well it's probably going to fail too.
Yeah.
Having, like, no, like, a full-on, like, understanding, like, yeah, no one is going to like this.
And they all had just, well, not all of them, but Bill Hader and Andy Samberg and the other Lonely Island dudes, they all just started SNL.
Yeah.
Like maybe a year before.
Yeah.
And then they do Hot Rod.
Yeah.
It bombs. This is the opposite of, like, Toxic Bros.
Yeah.
This is about, like, positive bros, where it's like, everything is possible.
Yeah.
You got that one weirdo, Bill Hader's character.
Yeah, but you also have the, like, even weirder dude who just shows up and dances the whole time. Yeah. It's just, to me, like, watching it, and I love this movie so much. It is so stupid. But again, like, this is, like, when I talk about Hot Rod with my kids, like, probably 10 years from now, it will be with the love and the enjoyment of, like, our parents. I mean, like, have you seen Airplane? Have you seen The Jerk? Have you seen, and, like, and showing them this, like, this is where not all of my comedy, like, love, or, like, all of the, like, the dumb things that we say, you know, our personality and our, you know, sense of humor. It's just like, look at this movie. It is so stupid, but also so not inspiring, but, you know, that, like, it also, but to me, like, it also weirdly kind of, it's not a selfless movie, but it's about a dude who is trying to help someone and doing it the only way he knows how. And it's kind of like, hey, that's okay. Like you can be a helper and help in your own way. You don't have to jump like 20 buses and get $50,000.
Although it would be really cool.
Would be cool. But it's just like I just think about all the bits. I'm sure people say the whiskey thing all the time.
Yeah, cool. I mean, everyone says cool beans.
Cool beans. My name's Rod and I like to party. Wow, a movie can be like so much more than just dumb. Because again, Airplane is great. Airplane has a story. But to me, I'm like, maybe I'm not getting all the references. Yeah, did I know who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was like as a kid? Like, no. Did I know who like Leslie Nielsen was at the time? Like, no. Did I understand like all this stuff?
Well, it is like, you think about SNL, which just had its 50th.
Yeah.
And you think about some of the stuff they showed, and I was in the live in the subreddit
as you were going,
while I was watching, I was like during commercial breaks just reading, and some people were like, those things in the 70s weren't funny.
Yeah.
But then when I was a kid, I was like, what are you talking about? The Bassomatic was hilarious to me. So there is like a disconnect as you get older, as the generations change. There are going to be things that aren't funny. Like you talk about Airplane, like some of the jokes, some of the references, like Hot Rod. While it's like the precursor was Napoleon Dynamite and Jackass, Hot Rod is like the baby of those two things made to the perfect thing.
Yeah.
But then you also think about Pineapple Express around the same time.
Pineapple Express was I'm thinking about like me growing up around that time and like Pineapple Express is also another one where you're like, wow, you can really blend genres and still be funny and cool.
And that was sort of the death of the action comedy a little bit.
And it's just we need more of it. And to me, like again, it's not like, oh my gosh, like I became a better person after seeing this movie.
Yeah.
I just think I learned a little bit of like, it's okay to be dumb with your friends. I mean, these are also like dudes in their like 30s still living with their parents, still doing silly things. And I'm like, it's just nice to see. And so that's mine.
Yeah. Very good pick.
Thank
wow.
you. Thank
Great
you.
pick.
Thank you.
Two sides of the bro dynamic.
Yeah. Really, I mean,
you got super serious indie movie and unserious failure bomb that's loved by everyone that actually watched it.
Yeah, and just thinking about Chris Parnell talking about AM radio.
You know who needs more love?
Chris Parnell.
Chris Parnell.
He does.
Back to SNL 50. I'm glad Anna Gasteyer and Molly Shannon got a lot of shine.
Yeah, Anna just like it's a Gasteyer or something. I don't really know what we call it, but
I don't know if they'll get a. Well, Molly Shannon's been acting.
Molly Shannon's been around. Like, she's still been doing stuff, but like to see Gasteyer like back and like everyone loving her. I'm excited. Maybe she gets some stuff out of this.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about Hot Rod though too, is it's got Sissy Spacek and Ian McShane.
It does.
And you're just like,
Ian
how?
Ian McShane before he John Wicked it up.
Yeah, it's like how? Like how did you convince Sissy Spacek to be in your movie?
Well, it's the same thing of like how did Kevin Smith get Carrie Fisher?
True.
And then you hear the story and you're like, oh, just because she didn't care. She's just like, whatever.
So good.
But so let us know what movies change your brain chemistry and put us a dissertation in the comments.
Long.
Well, if you're seeing this on THV Oven Plus, just think about it really hard. We'll feel it in the universe.
Yeah, we will.